Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will be sharing the breakdown of how I planned my wedding myself in December. So for context, I got married in December of 2024. I'm just gonna go right into it. At the beginning of the whole planning process, my husband called me and said, "Baby, we are not about to spend block money on this wedding." And I got the message. Those were his exact words. And he told me, "This is our budget." Just to be clear, I am all for outsourcing. I do not like stress. So I did not intentionally decide at the beginning to plan my wedding. But then I do know that not a lot of people are going to have the luxury of choice of being able to say, "Oh, I want this person to plan my wedding or this other person." I, for one, mine was out of necessity. My friend, who I have worked with in a professional capacity, I was looking forward to having her plan my wedding, which is something that I already promised her years ago. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it back for Christmas. So the second person that I always had in mind as a plan B was also going to be out of the country for Christmas. So it was just very dicey. And keyword here, Christmas. But if I'm going to even drop any nugget, first of all, don't have a Christmas wedding. It just complicates everything. Everything is double the price. Vendors become irrational. If there's anything you take out from this, because your date is just as crucial as every other detail, don't have a Christmas wedding. Pick any other season that is just neutral and flat, but I understand that a lot of people pick Christmas, as it was in my case, because of family. You're able to have family reunites best at Christmas, right? Because of the holidays. But yeah, I'll jump right into it. First thing I did was to create a sheet. So I made a template which I can share. I already shared it to a couple of people who made requests on my Instagram. I made an Excel sheet, a planning sheet. It had several tabs with details. One was for vendors, one was for guests, one was for to-dos, one was for contact lists. So yeah, I had my guest list and my husband had his. So it was a shared sheet. We both could work on it simultaneously. So God bless my husband, because he was very helpful. There are a lot of things that you would, if you know how guys typically are, things like this, to leave it to the woman. But my husband was very helpful in the entire planning process, and I was very determined to stick to the expense, the figure that he gave. I also had an idea of certain things that I wanted to be added to the wedding, so I did that out of pocket, of course. On the vendor side, I knew that there had to be a priority listing, so I had a list of vendors that were negotiable and some that were non-negotiable. I had a list of wedding items that were negotiable and some were non-negotiable. So I just had a priority list, more or less. So the things that I knew I was not going to compromise on was my makeup, photography, videography, and what's that other thing? Yeah, I think it was those three things: makeup, photography, videography. Somehow it was the same thing for my husband as well. He was very invested in us having the best photographers possible. We spent a lot of time going through different dossiers, different portfolios of the different vendors that we were considering at the time, right? So it was nice that we were on the same page about that. Every other thing was negotiable. Now for my makeup, I knew that I wanted someone that was an experienced hand, so it was going to be either Lifa Beauty or Revis Beauty. Lifa is someone that I've been following from the days of BlackBerry BBM channels. I've followed her growth. I'm subscribed to her YouTube, so I love her. Revis Beauty, I like the snatch she gives. I don't know much about her person, but I like her work. But thankfully, I went for Lifa and I absolutely enjoyed my experience. For photography, the photographer that I wanted personally, Promsy Weddings, he was booked for that date. So I had to do like a lot more research to find someone on the same level with him, someone who would deliver as much value, as I would have expected from him. And then content creation. I mean, my husband didn't think it was necessary, but at the end of the day, he was the one always asking, oh, has the content creator said this? Another advice, get a content creator. Don't depend on anybody, or your friend or your sister. Oh, this person is going to get content for you. They won't, and you'll be up there. They will not get the content for you. You would literally have to make do with blurry videos and weird filters at the end of your wedding, while you wait like 2 weeks for the videographer to send you official videos. And trust me, you don't want that for yourself. So another advice I would give you, get a content creator. The content creator that I got, she was good. Although I should have had like more, I should have engaged with her a lot more to get some clarity on some things, because she was shooting clips in 10 seconds, 15 seconds. She was focusing on the outcome, which was like the highlights reels. So I didn't really get a lot of long form videos from her, right? So apparently if you want that, there's an extra cost attached to it, so you might want to look into that so you don't make the same mistake I made. Then for my dresses, I do not like having to change a lot, so I knew that I was going to just clip it at 2 outfits per event. For my traditional wedding, it was 2 outfits. For my white wedding, it was 2 outfits as well. But because, I mean, it's my wedding, once in a lifetime, just to have some sort of variety, I made my white wedding dress a detachable one. So the lace was detachable. It was clipped on at the sides here. Very invisible. My stylist, I styled myself. My fashion designer, she was very genius. She was able to do it in such a way that no one even knew it was detachable. And then when it was time for the reception, I just put it off and then put on the other one, the beaded halter neck sleeve. And I was very intentional about this because, one, I knew that I wanted to dance at my reception. I knew I wanted to dance, dig it in, and I do not like the scratchy feeling that lace gives me. I'm not a fan, so imagine having to dance in all of that. So I just put that in place from the get-go. And then to shorten whatever time, you don't know how the day is going to go. You don't know if you're even going to have time to go to the hotel. If it had become a worst case scenario, I would have easily been able to do that detachment, in the car. So I was very proactive about that. Then I did not get an event planner eventually, but I got an event coordinator. On the day coordinator, the person that I used was also referred by a friend. So what's her work basically was to do all the running around on that day, because obviously on that day you don't want to be up there on the podium and be thinking, oh, this auntie has not gotten souvenir, oh, these people on this side have not gotten food. These things happen at every event, but your best bet at being able to control it is getting either an event planner or an event coordinator. So in this case, the person's job was on the day. It's way less in terms of cost, and then it just helps you have best of both worlds, right? You're having a coordinated event without having to spend so much. So that was something else I did that I would advise you to. Lastly, I had a very small traditional wedding. My traditional wedding, I knew that I did not want to have 2 big events. My traditional wedding was a small event just done in my father's compound in Lagos here. To be fair, it actually turned out bigger than we had anticipated, because the plan started out from it being just a parlor event. That's what it was supposed to be. But then the guest list somehow spiraled out and we had to move it down to the compound. And yeah, my family is a very traditional one, so we allowed people to show up for us, right? So having 2 big events, it's perfect, it's beautiful, do you? But if you're trying to save costs, I don't think it's necessary. Not in this economy, not in this day and time. Then lastly, start early. That's one edge I had. I started planning my wedding in June to be precise, immediately after my intro. My intro was in June, and immediately after that, I started doing my vendor research, and that's something that saved me on so many levels, because one, there are lots of popular vendors. Yes, their work is probably quality, but best believe there are people who will give you same quality for far less. The only difference between these two types of vendors is that one has social credibility, one is out there, one is more popular. So this is something I learned planning events for my office. The cheaper vendors are not necessarily bad quality vendors. You just have to be able to do your research, do your due diligence to be sure that you're not cutting costs for rubbish, right? And then you have to be ready when you're planning a wedding, especially a December wedding. You have to be ready for anything, because vendors, they move mad. Yeah. And I will share the single experience in the entire wedding planning process that almost put me to shame, but God did not let it happen. So to put it nicely, 10 days to the wedding, I didn't have a decorator. So as at August, I had contacted and paid an event decorator from Instagram. She had 3 packages and I picked the highest one. She called it the luxury package. She was quite affordable, and I had seen what the work she had done. It looked good. I was not looking for anything off the top. I already had an idea of what I wanted, and decor was not something that I would not say decor was something that I was prioritizing, because I know what it costs, right? And these are not things that will matter in the long term. All the things that would go with the day, I deprioritize them and only prioritize the things that I will take out of the event, meaning the way I look and the capturing of the moment, right? So we paid in August. We had conversations with her. We decided on, I sent mood boards. Everything was done. I created these things and I sent them to her. We agreed. She said there were some extra things that will have to be paid for. I said that's fine. We paid 80% deposit. Tell me why in November I reached out to this woman to introduce her to my coordinator, and so that they can, we can be on board with the other things that she said I will need to pay for. I'm not going to tag her, but just in case she comes across this video, I really hope nobody does this thing that you did to me. I really hope nobody does it to you. That's my sincere prayer for you, because she had me on the rocks. Because tell me why I reached out to her in November and she wouldn't take my calls. Like, she was so hard to reach. She would respond to messages when she wants to. She would say, okay, let me do this, I'll get back to you. No, she will not get back to you. You will have to be the one to chase her. I'm paying you and I'm chasing you. In all my experience managing vendors, I hadn't experienced anything like that before, and it didn't make any sense to me. So one day, and this is the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't know who the camel is here, whether it's me or her, but that's the straw. I reached out to her. I think we had a prior conversation or something, and then she was supposed to get back to me. She didn't get back to me, and this thing was time bound. So I sent her a voice note telling her that I wish I can play it here. So I sent her a voice note telling her that this clearly was a pattern, which meant I would have to be chasing up with her all the time, and that she needed to do better. And then she responds saying, oh, I can already tell that you're about to frustrate me with this job, this, that. She said a lot of things that were out of context, and I was quite surprised that she was sending all of these things. And so I handed the matter over to my husband. Well, she asked to do a refund. She said she was going to fully refund me, and this was 3 weeks to my wedding. She wanted to do me a refund 3 weeks to my wedding. So I handed the matter over to my husband, thinking, oh, if she speaks with him and maybe she'll be able to reason with him, or he will be able to reason with her, which is something that clearly was not happening between us. But she stood on it and said she wanted to do a refund. Now, come to find out later that she had increased the prices of the same packages that we paid for in August. She had increased them before December. So obviously this was a case of, and I mean, in a way I don't blame her. The economy too is rubbish. So, but these things could have been communicated better. You speak to me, tell me that, okay, what I paid for is not going to be able to cover, because I later went back to check her page and I saw that she had upped the prices for the other jobs that she did. Not everybody in the event business understands that one single change can be very crucial and detrimental to the entire planning process. So yeah, that's something that could happen to anybody. I ended up having to compromise. I ended up having to use a decorator that I typically wouldn't have even, looked in her direction, but she got the job done. The most important thing was that she was free for that day. I got her exactly a week to the event, and at least I got married. It's not it wasn't the image that I had. She was limited in so many ways because she was not like the standard that I initially envisaged for myself, but she was within budget. I mean, she was even way cheaper, which I didn't mind, to be honest. So yeah, starting early is like the super thing that helped me. Buying of fabrics, not just for yourself, for family, there's so many other things that nobody tells you about until you start planning your wedding. When you start early, you're able to take everything into perspective, and then you're able to get better results, basically. And if something gets messed up, you have more time to replace it. And then also, starting early helps you put your earnings into perspective, because planning a wedding is expensive. So I mean, unless you want to just dip into your savings and bring out one bulk money, which is okay. But what I did was I paced myself. Over the course of those 6 months, I knew that this percentage of my salary was going to wedding expenses, and I stuck to it. So that way, after the wedding, I didn't find myself having to say, oh, my savings are depleted, or oh, I had to do this, or I had to liquidate this. None of that happened. So that's something that I would recommend to, anybody. Another thing I did for my wedding was to gift my bridesmaids, because they had been so helpful throughout the whole planning process. The ones that offered to go to the market with me, because I did so many market runs. My fashion designer, she was also on my train. Thankfully, she was my friend, so it just made things a lot easier for me. I could bounce ideas off her at any point in time. They all showed up for me in different ways, and I think it's very important to appreciate people who show up for you in times like that. So yeah, gifting your bridesmaids is not something, I think it's not cast in stone, it's not set in stone, just according to your heart, according to your pockets, and your girls, what they would like. And I also kind of rubbed off on my husband, because he did something similar, and in his friendship group he was the first to do it. So I mean, it was very nice. It was nice to do, and everybody really loved and appreciated it. So that's something that I think every bride should take into consideration, because best believe these people coming for your weddings, they are making a lot of sacrifices, even just to be there on that day. It's something like coming to celebrate you, something that if you are able to show that level of appreciation, especially to your groomsmen, your bridesmaids, I think you should do it. Then your guest lists. So the guest lists can be very tricky. It's something that almost pulled the rug from under my feet, because I come from a large family. My husband also comes from a large family. So it was a case of, who do you want to invite and leave the other person? You don't want to come off as, you don't want to unknowingly insult someone. So what we did was, we decided on the guest number we wanted to have. We wanted to have a wedding for 250 people, which, well, at the end of the day, extended to 350. But at the beginning of it, we clearly communicated to our parents, because parents are they are the typical culprits. We communicated to our parents, telling them that you are going to only get this number of guests each. So because my husband's parents are not based in the country, they really do not have a lot of people, especially in Lagos. They're when they're in Nigeria, they're based in Warri. So not a lot of people were going to come from there. So it helped. I was able to get part of the number of guests that his parents were supposed to have, who will not be available, and they have it added to mine. So my mom had allowance for 50 guests, while my dad had allowance for 50 guests as well. My husband's parents had 20 each, and the rest were for our friends, colleagues, and the likes. So as at October, I had sent out the RSVPs twice. So the first time, and I had done a final confirmation. Nigerians are not good at this RSVP thing. Some of them don't even know like the protocols, or when you fill an RSVP, especially when there's a capping on the number of guests expected to attend the event. You filling that link, knowing you will not be attending, you're doing the couple a disservice. So I had to do a lot of manual work back end. I used an app. I'm going to put the title here, and I used the free version, so I had to do quite a bit of work back end. It allowed me to filter the list of people who had RSVP'd, and basically I was able to give that to the accreditation people at the entrance. I had a wristband that people used to access the event. So it's very important to do that, especially if you know that you have a capped number of guests that you're expecting at your event. Regardless of that though, it's very important to have plans for miscellaneous, because even with miscellaneous, a lot of things still go wrong. There will still be complaints of people that, oh, didn't get this or didn't get that. So having a miscellaneous plan, if you're planning for 300, make plans for extra 50, you know, just in case anything goes wrong. People come with their drivers, people come with kids, even if it's a no kids event. You know, these are things that you would not initially think about, but they will happen. So that's something to also take into consideration. There's so many other things, so many other aspects of planning a wedding that you might find tricky. So being someone who has experienced it, I do not mind giving out nuggets. If you have any extra questions on how the event went, feel free to ask me in the comments, and I'm going to be addressing them. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like, subscribe, and share if you haven't. Thank you. Bisous bisous.